Is he mixing a martini?
Shaken, not stirred.
And welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
And next to me is someone new. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Dave Taylor.
Dave Taylor. Guys, we got a special guest on Dave Taylor. We'll get into all that stuff, but I think we're on episode, 167? I think so.
167, yeah. I'm just reading Jeep Man Sam. He goes, as it finally clicks who Dave Taylor is, I realize I have his books on my shelf. Well, I'll be in the corner for acting up.
Guys, it is a guest stream. Before we go all into all the fun, let's go and give our shout outs that we need to do. We want to thank Tectonic Craft Studios for being a sponsor of More Than Dice. Be on the lookout for Dan's stuff. He'll be having some new projects coming around pretty soon. We'll give away some of his products sometime next month, I believe. We are a creature creator. Every once in a while you'll see us paint up. More likely Kathy will paint up a creature caster model. Although I'll probably be painting up some stuff because of the judgment models coming out. And then, of course, the lovely Lynn Stahl, Metalhead Minis. We appreciate her more than anybody knows. She hosts a bunch of our products that we have that you can buy, and you'll have a link come up into the chat every so often. And we want to thank Muse on Minis that also helps host our podcast and provides everything for us in that aspect. And if you buy anything from them, make sure you type in all one word More Than Dice and get a percentage off of your product, and some of that comes back to our stream. Did I get everybody?
I think so.
I think I did. Okay. So we have a tradition here, Dave. We always have to give a shout out to anybody that has passed away recently, famous, non-famous, whatever. And John, you're usually the guy on this. Do we have anybody this week?
Shock G, the lead vocalist from Digital Underground.
Oh, yeah.
Best known for the Humpty Dance.
The Humpty Dance is your chance. Do the hump. Yeah, I know that song.
Yeah, he passed away. He was, math says 60, just about 60.
Wow, was he really? I didn't even know he was that. I mean, he's from, when I was a kid listening to rap music. I don't remember him being...
And you're super old.
I'm damn old. I was there when they patented dirt. I was writing it down on stone.
No. You can throttle back. Dave and I both know Doug locally, and he is way older than you.
He is.
And one of the most prolific painters I have seen.
He is also that.
Yes.
There was, I don't know all the details, but supposedly the Indian submarine, they did find it, and
they found that it was
broke in 3 parts, and they're fear that all the crew members have passed away, which is sad. Kathy, Dave, do you have anybody personal or anything you know?
No, thank goodness.
No.
Okay.
No.
Also, John, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I finished that bottle of Jim Beam Fire, so I upgraded to Jack Daniel's Fire, something a little less sweet. And I've mixed that with Dr. Pepper as normal.
That's normal.
Make it more sweet.
Dave, what are you drinking tonight?
I decided to go and grab a can of Mr. Trash Wheel's Solar Power Sour.
Oh.
What's in it?
It's a so this is brewed about a block and a half from my house.
Oh, nice.
Very nice and easy to go. But also, Mr. Trash Wheel is the sort of contraption that floats around in Baltimore Harbor and collects the trash. Basically, it's a big paddle wheel that scoops the trash up from the harbor, cleans the harbor.
Cool.
No, I think I've seen that before.
Yep. Anybody who has a harbor that's dirty enough to require a Mr. Trash Wheel? Good on you.
Kathy, what's on your agenda today?
I am drinking gin and ginger ale.
Just ginger ale?
Gin and ginger ale.
Oh, gin and ginger ale. Kind of cut out for me for a second. My drink of choice, because I did not drink enough, is just water tonight. Just water. So, sorry. Guys, we appreciate everybody that comes in here, everybody that watches, everybody that listens, everybody that helps contribute to forcing John to drink water for an entire episode. We
Or making
appreciate
Gonzo be normal.
or forcing Kathy to read from her book on the whim. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody that watches and listens, whether you do it live or recorded. Guys, be safe out there. Wear your mask. Look out for each other. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Oh yeah. That's
Oh yeah, that's some good H2O right there. Filtered into everything. Damn.
Let me tell everyone. Forget Fireball. Forget Jim Beam Fire. Get the Jack Tennessee Fire. It is much better for mixing.
Jack Tennessee Fire. Noted. Jeepman Sam says toasted caramel whiskey with ice.
I mean, that sounds good too, but
It does. I mean, well, anything that says toasted caramel just piques my interest.
Jeep Man also says.
But with whiskey, that seems a little, I don't know.
oh, no, seems fine to me.
I would absolutely try that, though. Not going to say no.
Jeep Man Sam says it's amazing that I can drink upside down. I learned that from Peter B. Parker. I mean, I have his physique, so I can, definitely, pull off that cosplay type thing.
Now, Gonzo, I don't think we told you this. It's funny, but the Australia joke. You know, Dave is from Australia, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, just making sure you know. He knows all your tricks.
My camera's upside down as well. Can't you tell?
But you
Well,
move
it's
to
like-
the U.S., your camera right side up.
Yeah, it flips.
It negates that power.
Well, it's also whenever we had Judgment on, and he was in Australia doing it too, and
Yep.
my camera was upside down. His was right side up for some reason. So let's get started on this. Dave, who are you?
I'm me. Seriously. I'm not anybody else. No. Yeah. I'm. What do you mean by who am I?
Dave, I know who you are, and I know your books, and I know what you do. Tell us a little bit about your background. How you got started doing, everything that you're doing right now. Did it, just come as a whim? Was it just, magically you were able to pick up a brush and paint like a god, or, did it just,
It was decades of hard work.
No.
Pretty much. No.
No one likes to hear that.
Nobody does.
I was telling somebody the other day. Actually, when I first started painting miniatures, it was my first year of college, and I painted up some Gretchen from a Space Crusade box. They had the really weird poses. There was a guy holding a blunderbuss and had the skinny legs. I painted that guy up, and I thought I'd done a really good job. I was super pleased with it. And I took it, I was doing graphic design, and I took it to my illustration teacher and said, "Oh, look what I've just found. I've started painting these miniatures." And he grabbed it and he looked at it. And he goes, Dave, I thought you could do better than this." And I was like,
Damn.
thanks for that. But I think he knew me pretty well, because I probably took it as a bit of a challenge to then go and paint some more, and then paint some more, and paint more and more and more. But yeah, when a Games Workshop store opened up in my hometown, I went in, saw it, and the first day that it opened, that was probably about 3 years after I first started, and was looking at the minis in the window, and it was like, oh, fantastic! I saw some Empire handgunners there, and went in and said, "Oh, who painted those?" And the manager was like, "I painted them." And I said, "Oh, cool. How long did they take? How long did they take you?" And he goes, "I painted them last night." And I was like, "What, all 5 of them?" He goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Teach me. Teach me, please. Let me learn from how you paint so quickly and paint so well." And yeah, so it's just been sort of since then. I worked for Games Workshop for 14 years, which is where I met John, and through working at events, that's where I met Kathy. And yeah, probably 12 years ago, I think it was 12, 13 years, something like that. Left Games Workshop and worked for War Games Illustrated, the magazine. I was the US correspondent for a UK-based magazine that was owned by a New Zealand company. So there was a wonderful sort of global nature to it, which was pretty cool. But about 7 years ago, I left that, decided to open up my own business, Dave Taylor Miniatures, so that I could work with a lot of miniature companies. Basically, I don't make any miniatures myself. I don't make any of my own minis, but I just work with other companies, sort of helping them bring their miniatures and their products to market. So I do consulting, I do graphic design, I do all sorts of stuff for people, content, different bits and pieces. But yeah, and just over that time, I've just kept painting miniatures, and I probably painted 11, maybe 12,000 miniatures over those years. Not as many as John, but anyway.
Dave, there are still stories when I talk to Brian Kilgore about you guys hanging out and painting and him just being amazed at how fast and clean you get stuff done.
Yeah. I went through a phase where I had so many ideas that I wanted to turn into armies that I had to learn how to paint quickly. Otherwise, I was never going to get to them all. So it's like, got to get this done. Got to get this done. The next one's coming through.
I had that same problem, and you know how I fixed it, right?
How's that?
I just play unpainted models. Fuck it.
I was gonna say, I'm super impressed by your hobby streak. I gotta tell you that.
It's,
it's
before
hard work, and I'm actually pleased that I have not, since the first 2 games where I was learning, I have not played Marvel Crisis Protocol without a fully painted army.
Yeah, awesome.
Which is crazy for me.
Yeah. Excellent. So, but yeah, that's basically who I am, where I've come from.
So,
very quickly.
One thing that always cracks me up is when people say, "Oh, you've got great talent," but you had to hone that talent. This wasn't. I mean, you told us your first Gretchen type model, and you were like, you thought that was great, but when of course you took it to someone else, were like, type thing.
Yeah.
Of all the models that you've been painting through all these years, is there any time that you've taken this model and going, I can do better, and repaint it?
I don't think I have really repainted a model for that reason. I might have had models that were in older armies, and it's like, I'd like to bring that into my new army, and I might have repainted it for that purpose. But I'm sort of more keen to, for me, it is the painting, and it's the journey of making the army or the warband or whatever it happens to be. I do like the gaming aspect of the hobby, but I like it primarily for the socialization, I guess. Well, socialization.
We know what you mean.
We're not professional. You can make up your own words. We don't care.
I think it's a real word, but I just don't think it means that. But yeah, so it's I really like the process of creating an army and painting those. So I've got armies that I've never played with, that I probably will never play with.
But they sure look great.
Pardon?
But they sure look great.
Thank you. I do enjoy working with them, though.
What's your current games that you have that you are playing?
I haven't played. Worked out the other day. I haven't played a game for like the last 9 months. But
like a lot of us. But what would you be playing if you had that opportunity?
Probably be playing some 40K. Probably some Warcry. A little bit of Saga: Age of Magic. That's something my gaming group was playing.
I like Saga.
The pandemic hit. That was actually one where the army that I worked on for that, I can also use for Warcry, and I can use it for Age of Sigmar as well as Saga: Age of Magic. And if I put them on the right movement trays, I could probably use it for Kings of War too. But yeah, most of what I play is just really what other folks that I play with, whatever they're keen to have a go at. We'll probably play some Stargrave soon from Osprey. which is like the sci-fi version of Frostgrave.
I did not know that there was a sci-fi version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that coming out and everything, and I was looking at because I own all the Frostgrave stuff. I've never played it, but I do love it all. I think it's great. I collect books type stuff, like RPG stuff, because I run a lot of RPG stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm grabbing all of these because I can use this.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of great material in there, definitely. But I think I haven't had a look at how Stargrave plays yet, but I know that Frostgrave can be a bit swingy with the D20. There's been a few games that we've played where it's like, that single shot took out my leader. That's one bow shot from across the other side of the board took out my.
You can get lucky.
Yeah,
Hit him
exactly.
right in the eyeball.
That other opponent, he gets lucky like that all the time. So frustrating. But yeah, so probably things like that. I'm working on some 40k terrain at the moment. So building up a table to go with the Chaos Knights army that I worked on last year.
Nice.
Pretty cool. But yeah.
So you've seen a ton of miniatures and everything else, and you got a ton of stuff. What miniature? I don't even want to say miniature company, but what miniatures are you completely impressed with by the way they're built or their style, so on and so forth? Which ones are like really sticking out to you right now?
It's a tough one. There are a lot of so many great miniature companies, and I know I'm going to miss people when I talk about them. But so I think Games Workshop's really killing it with their plastics and their the way that they're putting the miniatures together. The engineering alongside the sculpting is great. The concept's great. Sculpting's great. The engineering is fantastic. It's just like a whole other world. So I'm really impressed by all of that. But I've always been a GW guy. I think really impressed by historical miniature wise. I always love the Perrys. The Perrys do fantastic work. And I always love the sculpts of Paul Hicks as well. So Paul does fantastic work he's like basically a freelance sculptor. He does a lot of great work for Brigade Games over here. He also does work for Footsore Miniatures. But those minis are the Perry miniatures and the stuff that Paul sculpts are typically all one-piece metal miniatures. So they kind of harken back to an earlier time when it was you just have to like trim off a few little bits of flash and you're good, rather than assembling like enormous sort of Chaos Knights with
knights
pieces. So it's a different story. I think one of the other things I'm really enjoying, because I paint on a painting live stream for Game Trade Media called Painting Happy Little Minis, and we painting a lot of board game minis as well. So I think there are a lot of companies that are doing some fantastic stuff. Like Simon's doing some awesome work. And there are other board game companies that are really working that the PVC sort of plastic market. But there are so many more as well. Amazing stuff.
Now you're painting miniatures. Are you an acrylic, an oil type painter, or just whatever?
Acrylics, yeah. I'm definitely all in acrylics. I haven't really dabbled in oils at all. They kind of scare me.
I know that feeling, Dave.
Yeah.
Kathy's got a stream where she's working on just oil miniatures right now, so
I am only learning it, and it did terrify me at the beginning. Because I've never used them before.
Right. Yeah. I think for me, a lot of it is I have an appropriate level of patience for acrylics, but something's taking longer than acrylics to dry. I think I'd want to pick it up and mess with it a little bit too much. So that would be my problem with oils, I'm pretty sure. I haven't really used them for weathering either. Just done some little bits and pieces, but not too much really. But I do have some friends who've used them quite a bit. So maybe eventually I'll get there.
test them out, see if you like them or not.
Yeah. It'll probably be for very specific stuff. They're doing some fantastic work on some of the Adeptus Titanicus Titans.
I could see it being good for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For something that's a bit larger scale.
Yeah. They're putting down some great base coats, like acrylic base coats with airbrushes, and then once those oils go on, it just adds a whole different dimension to it. So definitely cool. But personally, I'm stuck in the acrylics realm. I'm kind of at a point where I'm really happy with my painting. I know that I could take it further if I stopped and took the time to do it, but I'm happy with where it's at. So
You get the right balance of speed and quality.
yeah. I know that to take it up to the next level of quality and then the next level and the next level, it would take away from the speed. It would slow me down. So those ideas wouldn't be able to be fulfilled as well.
Well, that's a good note for everyone painting is that you got to hit that. When you hit that balance, don't mess with it for a bit.
Yeah.
If you're happy with the paint job and you're happy with the speed, you good. Just keep going.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, the last month after the Reaper Virtual Expo, when I was working on the Cyber Dices and the little Chibi Cthulhu, that was my return to oils after spending 2 months learning how to use oil paints. That was my return to acrylics after learning oils. And it was like coming back to a good friend, where I knew what would happen when I mixed these paints together. I knew what would happen if I added this water to this and I did this glaze or whatever. And it felt so comfortable after the mental anguish sometimes. Now I say it like oils are a terrible thing. They have been fun.
Sure.
And frustrating.
Yeah.
So I have accomplished things that I'm proud of, but people were there to witness because I streamed it all.
Yeah.
To witness my failure and my frustration while I was learning, but that is all just part of the journey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you said you have Dave Taylor Miniatures. What is Dave Taylor Miniatures?
So when I launched Dave Taylor Miniatures, it was the aim was I think even my mission statement was to help other miniature companies bring new products to market or to sell more of their existing products. So essentially, over my years at Games Workshop and War Games Illustrated, I developed a whole bunch of skills. Photography, writing, editing, layout, design, all sorts of stuff, marketing, promotions, event management, a whole range of different things. And because so many companies in the miniature realm, in the miniature sort of industry, are tiny companies with 1 or 2 or 3 people, they don't have, there are very often gaps in their skill sets. So I thought, if I can offer all of these things, people don't have to take me up on all of them. They can just pick and choose what they need help with. That I could work with a lot of very interesting, very cool people and do some really fun projects. So I've done all sorts of different things. So Secret Weapon Miniatures, I've done some base sculpting, and I did a little bit of community management as well. For Victoria Miniatures, I did some product design. For Brigade Games, I do photography and layout, and just a whole range of things, which is pretty cool. So over the last 7 years, no 2 days have been the same, which has definitely kept me engaged with it. There's no sort of getting bored, because there's always something new sort of just around the corner, which has been really good. Probably I think it's 3 years ago now, I launched a Kickstarter for my own for my first product, which was for Armies, Legions, and Hordes, which is a book, project management book for toy soldiers. But it basically went through talked about all the different sort of roadblocks that people can encounter when they're painting large sort of wargaming projects, be it armies or be it titans or that kind of thing. And it tried to offer solutions along the way. Of there we go. John's got a copy.
We'll have a copy.
I know. I put a copy somewhere. I guess it's hidden somewhere. Yeah, so it went through and offered solutions for each of those little roadblocks, different ways to think about your projects. A lot of what I think about with that sort of thing about getting past roadblocks is understanding what your goals are and what your aims, and also what drives you. Sometimes these things aren't always the same, or they aren't what you might expect them to be. I think we talk a lot in generalities about army projects and working on stuff for the next tournament or the next event or the next painting competition, whatever it might happen to be. And sometimes it seems like we all have the same goals or the same drives to do things, but I think each of us has a different approach and a different reason we're doing it. And if we can understand what our personal reasons are, we can understand why things might be blocking us or why we're not feeling as accomplished when we reach a certain spot. So that first book was sort of about that and about helping people get past those roadblocks. And then the whole bunch of sort of case studies, which are armies that I've painted over the years, and put those things together. And yeah,
it's a good read. And Jeep Man says has it. It's helpful. Got me out of a few mini painting burnouts, which it is. I mean, it is super helpful.
Cool.
Just
good.
Keep it going. And
yeah.
Honestly, times like this is when we needed it more than anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a section on what to do when I feel burnt out?
Yep, there is. I couldn't tell you exactly what it says in there right at the moment, but yeah, it does address both sort of burnout when it's happening, but also planning to avoid it. So planning before it happens. So different ways that like some people like to paint a unit and then reward themselves by painting a character or that kind of thing. But I know for me, the thing that gets me through a big project is painting as much of the bulk of the army first. So if I know I've got 80 models in the army, and if I can get to 45 models, it's just like, okay, cool. I'm on the downhill slope. I've got over that crest. I'm ready to go. But if I was to stop and go, okay, well, I'll just paint this guy now, and then I'll just paint this guy. And if I worked on it for a month or two and I had like 10 models done, I wouldn't feel as enthused to finish it. So it's knowing, and I'd probably start to feel burnt out on it because I wasn't progressing as fast as I was thinking I should. So there are sections in there that talk about that kind of thing as well. But yeah, kind of the idea for doing the book came from when I was doing some layout for a book that I'd edited the text, I'd taken the photos, and I'd designed a layout and was putting everything in. And I was like, I'm really enjoying doing this, bringing all these separate parts together and doing it. I wish I could do this for myself, but I don't know anything about writing rules. I couldn't write a rule book. Wait, what do I know about? I know about painting lots and lots and lots of toy soldiers. So that's what I switched to that angle. And
that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So John told me that we needed to have you on. One, because you're an awesome guy. Two, you're an awesome guy. Kathy said you're an awesome guy, and I already got people messaging me going, we got to get this guy on more. He's an awesome guy. I had a couple of people already message me saying, hey, this guy's pretty cool. I like him. I'm like, that's
Not
good.
only is he an awesome guy, but he's a good miniature painter, and he explains well the processes.
Right. Thank you. You say that.
One of the reasons we went on, because we want you to talk about your new project you got coming out. You got a new Kickstarter coming out. I'm going to put the link into the chat. It's going to be a big link, guys. I'm sorry, because technically your Kickstarter is not on right now.
Yeah,
it isn't launched yet.
Yep. So at the moment, it's the pre-order link. Sorry, the pre-launch page.
Yes.
Yeah. So you sort of go to that page, you click on the notify me, and when it launches next Friday,
Okay.
It will send Kickstarter will send you a lovely email saying, "Hey, this project launched. You might want to go and check it out."
So tell us what this project is.
Sure. The new project is I'll just jump back a little bit. 2 years ago, I launched a Kickstarter with a guy called Mel Bowes, who people might know as the terrain tutor, to do a terrain book called Terrain Essentials, which John is also has the handy prop there. Thank you, John. So Terrain Essentials, I wanted to go to somebody who knew a lot about terrain to write a book. I mean, I've been making terrain for nearly 30 years now. I could have written a book about terrain, but it wouldn't have been the best book that I could make about terrain. So I went to Mel. Mel knows his stuff. We ran the Kickstarter. Had a pretty of a rough time getting it all together. Mel's gone through some pretty significant sort of health issues over the last 2 years, but we finally wrapped up the book production in October last year, October, November, and shipping went through the wildest time in the history of global shipping as far as postal services go through December and January. And we finally have the books out to all of our backers, which is really cool. But during that process, again, of working with somebody, getting photos and text in, editing text, doing layout and designing the book, I really enjoyed myself. I was like, I'd like to keep doing this. So I'm starting to move my business away from the consulting kind of aspect of it into publishing, which leads me on to the Kickstarter that's launching next Friday, which is The Art Of. I would kind of want to do a series of books that work with other miniature painters from all over the world, and sort of create books that feature their art, but not only their art. I like to ask a lot of questions of people about why they do things. Why did you do that way? Or what inspired you to work on that? So rather than just looking at pictures of beautiful miniatures, we'll have a whole bunch of text in there as well about what inspired those people and what led them to create those particular projects. So that's going to be the sort of the next thing that is rolling off from Dave Taylor Miniatures. Oh.
Sorry, I keep on. I make sure I'm muting because of my 3D printer. I do have a slideshow of the stuff that you sent me because you sent me a bunch of things.
Okay. Sure. Yep. Basically by artists or collectives. So the first book, like volume 1 of the series, is going to be with the Miniature Monthly team. So that's Aaron Lovejoy, Elizabeth Beckley, and Matt DiPietro, who are 3 fantastic American artists who I've known them all for ages. I think Kathy's known them all for a while.
Oh, Mizzy says no audio with the slideshow. We can only hear Dave, which is good. Of course, Dave is the only one talking.
Is everybody back now? Can everybody hear everybody? Yeah. No worries.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep, that's cool. So yeah, volume 1, the Miniature Monthly team. So it was one of those things because they all work so closely together with their with the Miniature Monthly Patreon and all of the tutorial videos that they do. It would have been really tough to go, hey Liz, let's just do a book. No, let's cut you out of the band, sort of thing. I wanted to do everybody together and feature them all because they work together, but they all have a different approach and a different sort of focus to the things that they do. So I mean, Aaron does spectacular painting and fantastic freehand as well. Aaron's also the guy who sort of put together the Miniature Monthly team, and prior to that, he had the Painters Guild when he was out in San Diego. So he's all about bringing people together in groups to do painting, which is really cool. Elizabeth's done a lot of work for Kingdom Death and does some spectacular skin tone work. She's also great at does some really cool work on chibis as well. But lots of awesome work from Elizabeth, and then Matt, who I expect you've met a number of times, Gonzo. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yep. Yeah.
Well, it's a bust.
The bust.
You know.
The ice fisherman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. I'm a huge fan of that one for sure. But yeah, Matt's been doing excellent painting for ages, and I really love Matt's philosophy and Matt's philosophical sort of approach to painting. It's sort of goes much deeper than my own does. So it's always interesting to see, to talk to people about that kind of thing. The mindfulness that goes into all of his painting is spectacular. So that's the first volume. Is those three? We've got sort of a different section in the book for each one of them. So they'll also all be talking about their experiences as studio painters. So Matt for Privateer Press, and Aaron for Flying Frog for Shadows of Brimstone, and of course Liz for Kingdom Death. But yeah, so second book is Christoph Kiel. Christoph goes on, he's on Instagram by Cornell, so K-O, oh, actually it's K03RNL, so a little bit of lead speed kind of.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm too old for that. But I'm a huge fan of converting models. I love doing loads and loads of conversions. I've got armies that are completely converted, but Christoph does spectacular conversions in kit patches. Amazing work that where he doesn't like to use green stuff to sort of finish off his conversions. He does sometimes use it, but he doesn't like to. So a lot of his conversions, he works very finely to be refining each of the pieces so that they all go together seamlessly.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But he's also done some awesome work. And this is going to sound simple, but it's awesome work painting black. He spent like a month studying like the work of like Frank Frazetta and Paul Bonner and John Blanche, and then he painted a Space Marine in each of their, like a Black Templar Space Marine in each of their sort of signature style.
Ah.
So
Wow.
working out different ways to create black, so that he could then blend them to create his own approach to it. And just something like that. That's, as I said before, I don't have a lot of patience to do that kind of experimenting. I know how I paint black, and I paint it that way. But which is why it always excites me to see people doing sort of cool, different stuff like that. And then the third volume is Ana Polanchuk from Croatia. Ana has been blogging for the last 10 years, 10, 12 years, something like that. And she does a lot of very dark, macabre kind of miniatures and conversions and terrain building and world building. And I'm always really interested in reading her blog posts or hearing her talk about the worlds that she creates, or the settings for games and campaigns and that kind of thing. So that volume is going to sort of look at a lot of that kind of stuff. She's going to be talking a lot about campaigns that she's created, worlds that she's built and how she's put games together for friends and that kind of thing. So they're the first 3 books. So it's something. Each one's a little bit different. There's a different sort of focus on them. I didn't want to have something that was a kind of a cookie cutter kind of approach, just because I wanted to sort of celebrate the individuality of each of the artists that I'll be kind of working with. But I am very, very excited to start laying out the books and sort of massaging everything into place and getting all of the new photography and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yep. Sure. Yeah. Basically the books are so book sizes. Just quickly, the volume 1 with the miniature monthly team is 128 pages. Both Anna and Christoph's books are 96 pages each. So we've got a nice sort of solid size, so I can go away and get quotes from the printers and that kind of thing. So Anna and Christoph's books are going to be $30 each on the Kickstarter. They're going to retail later for $35 each. And the miniature monthly book is going to be $40, and it'll later retail for $45. But so we have those, and we have pledge levels for each of those. So if you want to just get one of the books, there's a pledge level for you. And if you want to get all 3 of the books together, there is the pledge level for that is going to be, I think that's $90. So you get a little sort of 10% break there for getting them all together. And we'll also have those books in the add-ons, so you can sort of get those separately if you'd like to, or if you want to pledge for one, pick up one of the others. There'll be ways to do it. Yep, you could do that. Yep, for sure. Yeah. How about I tell you the things that I like to do? I kind of have an approach that I like for it is I like to sort of rotate my stretch goals through 3 different things. Upgrades, where you take the core book, the initial product, and increase the quality in some way. It might be taking it from a softback book to a hardback book, bumping up the quality of the paper to like the top tier of the paper. And for these ones, I've actually been talking with my my printer about doing some silver foil, silver leaf on the cover for the titles. So it's just something that's a little bit different to what we've done before. But those sort of upgrade things, they all cost more at the printing end. But and one of the examples for that for my book, I did a slipcase, Kickstarter exclusive slipcase. Unfortunately, I didn't get the quotes beforehand, and I didn't think it was. It turned out that those slipcases were each as much as the book to produce. So it's like, oh, I just doubled my book cost. Great.
I mean, it's a really nice slipcase. I'm not gonna lie.
It is a really nice slipcase. It is.
I swear
nice.
everybody does that for their first Kickstarter.
Yeah, and everybody learns after that. But yeah, so the upgrades are one, add-ons are another one, and when you're working with miniature artists, the sort of most obvious one is like art cards. So like the oversized postcards with fantastic miniature art on them. Because Anna does a lot of work with like creating campaign settings and game settings and that kind of thing. We're going to try and get her to work on a sheet of tokens that could be used across a variety of different gaming systems. But basically, yeah, like punch out cardboard tokens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. That's going to be the one that where I. That's probably the one that trips me up for the Kickstarter because I haven't done that before. But again, it's an opportunity to explore and have a bit of fun with that. And then the last type of stretch goal that I like is the freebie. So the add-ons will be the people we'll pay maybe like $6 or $7 for an add-on. But the freebies are obviously free. And I think for this one, because the books themselves won't be how-tos, they're much more of the why sort of behind the artwork. With the freebies, we can do some cool tutorial PDFs. Like I've spoken with Christoph, and he's gonna do a tutorial on painting black, using those sort of processes. I think for Matt, we'd probably talk with Matt about how he gets his like beautiful, incredibly warm and rich oranges and ochre colors. So things like that are the freebies that I'd like to sort of add. So if we get to this level, we can send out a PDF to everybody. But yeah, I just want to use those to be able to give as much value as possible to everybody along the way.
And the PDFs are cool because you get them sort of as, before the book releases. So you're getting something in the meantime. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember this is coming.
Yep. I think that'll be definitely good. I think for this time, because the books are already underway, each artist is already writing. They're all about 25%, maybe 30% of the way through their particular works. That I think, to be safe, I want to say we'll probably be shipping next February.
Okay.
Maybe March. As I said, with working with Mel, we originally wanted it to be out at the beginning of 2020, but completely unforeseen circumstances meant that we had to push things a little bit. There were points with Mel. Mel had a popped lung at one point. Yeah, so he had he thought that he was having a heart attack and was rushed to hospital because basically a little bubble of air popped out of his lung into his chest cavity and was pushing on his heart. So he was rushed to the hospital with a suspected heart attack. And I didn't find out for like 2 days because obviously the first thing you don't do is call your publisher.
Oh, true.
There's plenty of other people to call ahead of publisher, but yeah, when I found out about that, I was like, okay, well, we really need to get cracking on this just in case something really bad does happen. So he was actually we'd have a call like this, and he'd be dictating bullet points to me that I could then flesh out into text that he could then read over and go, yes, that's right, or no, you got this bit wrong. So all sorts of things can happen when you're putting together a book and when you're working with somebody else. So yeah, everything's always got that caveat with we're aiming for this, we're working really hard for it. But yeah, so hopefully February, March we'll be shipping out to backers, and then maybe May or June they'll hit sort of retail.
I will say that your communication during the Kickstarter was top notch.
Cool.
Never had any doubt. Like everything laid out clearly. It was definitely in the top tier communications I've received.
Cool. Yeah, it was tough because each time when you're writing an update for a Kickstarter, each time you want to say, "It's done, and we're shipping it to you." It's done, we're shipping it to you. But when you can't, it's like, sorry, more bad news. Sorry, we haven't quite got there. With the Terrain Essentials book, I did like a bar graph of each of the sections so people could see the progress, or if we had a month where there wasn't much progress, they could see that there wasn't much progress that month. But I think that helped.
Mm-hmm.
Helped people understand and where we were working towards. But yeah, it's been a hell of a year. It's been a hell of a year for everybody. So
no, yeah, it's been a hell of a year.
But yeah, so I can't sort of step back and go, oh no, it was too tough. It was tough, but you just got to grow and learn from those things, right? So
yeah, I always look at tough stuff like, what am I going to tell the next employer? Like, oh, it was too tough for me to do. They don't want to hear that.
No.
It's tough. We got through it. This is what we did. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the communication more than anything because I'm not in a hurry to get these things when it's Kickstarter, but I like to know. I don't want to have I don't like to throw stones at the easy target, but Relic Knights Mark II was not. I mean,
Yep.
at this point, it's dead. Probably they're trying, but hats off to them for trying. But not even a communication saying, "Hey, it's dead. Hey, it's still on." It's terrible. And they get you, and then there's some dice one I did where like just all the updates, like I know exactly what's going on. Heck, with the other dice one, like he's got. If you want to see where I spent the money, I'm like, wow, dude, you don't need to go all there, but I appreciate it.
Yep. No, it is good when you have things like that. James Sheriff did a very cool sort of grimdark tarot card deck with the artist Ian Miller, and got it printed and everything was fine. And then issues with COVID meant that he wasn't able to ship things out as quickly as he would have liked, which meant that the prices kept going up. And I was like, James, I know I'm towards the end. Here's an extra $10 to sort of go towards my shipping because I know it's going to be more sending it from the UK to here.
Yeah.
But because there was communication, you can do things like that. You can
absolutely
show creators that you understand that they're going through some stuff. But yeah, the aim for this one is that we don't go through stuff. We get on top of it a lot earlier, and we keep things rolling along. But I'm really excited to work with all 5 of these artists. They're all very good people, so definitely cool.
So a lot of artists have artists they look up to.
Yep.
And such. Give us like 2 or 3. I know because there's I'm sure there's a long list. Give us like 2 or 3 people that you're like, this person makes some awesome crap, type thing. Who are some of the artists you look up to right now?
Awesome crap.
Awesome crap. They're polishing turds. It's amazing.
Hey.
No, there are a lot, and for different reasons as well. I have a particular painting style, and I have a particular type of miniature that I really enjoy painting, but I love seeing work from all sorts of people. I don't know that I'd have I probably couldn't give you a top couple. I don't know. So many people. It really is too tough. I think everybody's got something to teach you. Everybody's got a cool idea or a different angle or a wild take. I mean, I haven't sat in on one of Jim's classes before, Kathy, but I have heard continually hear tales about how he'd come along and rip brushes out of people's hands and make them paint with their fingers. But
that may be an exaggeration.
It might be an exaggeration. I like to think that he actually did that, and it was to free people's minds to think, okay, you don't have to focus on what the tool is.
I've never taken one of his classes either, but yeah, that may be true.
Ask him later tonight and see if he has done that. But yeah, so there's all different folks are doing all sorts of different things. Somebody whose painting changed mine a bit, maybe want to tackle things slightly differently, was probably about 5 years ago. I started playing Dark Age from Simon, and a lot of the studio paint work for that was by Sergio
Calvo.
Sergio Calvo from Spain, and I loved the way that it looked. So that when I took the time to paint my warbands, I tried to mimic a lot of his work and push my contrast a lot more.
Oh, I love his work.
It is great, isn't it?
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, I think I'd like to do a book with Sergio, and I can't remember the name of his friend that sculpts. And they've done a couple of collaborative pieces for.
Not Joaquin Palacio.
It might be, but they did the World of Warcraft orc piece, and then there was a Space Wolf, large scale Space Wolf model. I'd like to do something with them where it's like sculptor, painter.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Odd stuff, but there are so many people out there doing amazing things that it would just be really cool to to work with a lot of people. It's at the moment I'm kind of setting my my sights on this one for like three new books a year, and I think seeing how that goes over the next couple of years and seeing what pace I can sustain, and if I can bump a few more in, that would be great. I like to. I described to somebody the other day. It's kind of like I like the series to be like an Osprey series.
Oh yeah.
Sure, yeah.
You end up with like 100 books in the series.
Eventually.
Even
they don't.
And all these phenomenal artists too. Yeah.
Just people whose stuff there's something in there for everyone. Something you can go, I really like this style. Well, I'll pick up this one and this one this week.
Yeah.
And then in a year's time, you go, well, I want to have a look at that approach. Pick up that one and that one.
And it's as you said, there's so many miniature painters that have some brilliant take that not everybody else does. You know, some little thing that makes their paintings unique to them.
Yeah.
And if you can just get that little kernel of magic, you know, that'll help. And everybody's got some little thing.
Yeah. It's definitely it's like that. I think that's the thing I really love about miniature painting and talking about miniature painting and seeing what people are doing. Yeah, that's where I get my joy, for sure.
Products. You know, we've got a ton of products that come out. Are there any products that you think are just like, holy crap, when I use this, it really did? Like, for me, I've been kept pushing myself on contrast paints. Like, all my Marvel Crisis protocols, I'm going to push and paint with contrast paints. And I like using them. And of course, some people give me crap for it. I'm like, I don't care. But are there any products that you're just like, this stuff really does exactly what it does and you're really impressed with?
I think the first thing that came along for me that changed my painting was Kolinsky sable brushes, and finding those and actually it was probably like just after I left Games Workshop. It was like, oh, I'm going to pick up a set of Winsor & Newton Series 7, and of course I bought the Winsor & Newton Series 7 miniature brushes, which have the really tiny bristles. So it's like, okay, I got the wrong ones, I'll get the other ones, and I've got larger bristles and I'll be able to paint more. So for me, Kolinsky sable brushes have done that. So over the years I've used Rosemary & Co. I've used Raphael. At the moment I'm using a lot of Broken Toad Kolinsky sable brushes.
I like the Broken Toad one.
Yeah, they're definitely cool.
You ran out of Games Workshop brushes? I still got good Games Workshop brushes.
Well, their tank dry brush can't be beat.
Well, I mean, like literally like smaller brushes that I have not like or just barely opened.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
I go through them pretty quickly. So I go through brushes pretty quickly. I do have, I usually go back to Games Workshop for the large dry brushes. But if I'm ever able to find one of those tank brushes, particularly the red-handled tank brush,
yeah,
amazing. But it's been a long time since I've had one of those. But yeah, what else? Wet palettes. I never got into wet palettes before, and I know people were making their own wet palettes, and I didn't try to make my own.
I gotta set mine up. I have had it for a while. I haven't set it up.
It's okay. It's okay that you don't use wet palettes. Not everybody's cup of tea. It was actually Aaron Lovejoy's fault that I even used one.
when I saw the Red Grass Games wet palette Kickstarter, the design of basically it was so much in the design of it. Like, I'm a big fan of a lot of IKEA furniture. Super clean lines is what I'm after, and the Red Grass Games sort of wet palette got me going, and I've used that for the last, when did it come out? 3 years ago, 2.5, something like that.
Feel bad, Dave.
You seriously haven't set it up yet?
No.
So easy to do.
When I moved, I didn't set it up, and I just haven't had the opportunity yet. I need to.
That's
Throw
cool.
some water in it, John.
Yep. Throw some water.
Look, it's out on my table now, so it'll be on my mind. It's just space becomes an issue too.
Give me a call later, and we'll go through the setting up.
I've used one. I have a Privateer Press one I used
Oh,
for a while. When I moved over here, I didn't have a lot of space. I worked on a tiny desk. I had to fit everything on that.
yeah,
Now I just need to figure out how the space works.
yeah, no, for sure. That's cool. Um, what else? I think well, last year I worked with Mini Masterworks on the Studio X Kickstarter, and
we had them on.
for somebody like me, where I paint here on an incredibly messy desk, and I then every week I'd go somewhere to paint for a couple of hours. And I put all of my paints in a ratty old cardboard box. It's like this Studio X is like perfect for me. So I'm really excited to see that sort of deliver later this year. And that's going to be I like to think that will be a game changer for me, that it will mean that I'll clean up my desk, and then I can take photos of it and use like other people say, oh, my desk is a little bit messy. I can't do that because it looks like you can't actually see the desk. So that's going to be helpful for me. And I think another thing that I'm excited is I'm probably going to pick up a Vortex mixer pretty soon.
It's like the new thing to get right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's to new hotness.
Pardon?
It's to new hotness.
It is the new hotness for sure. I've got so many paints that I have a sort of small selection of paints, probably 20 paints that I use all the time, and then I've got like 100 paints that I use every now and again, and they're the ones that are going to need the mixing. It's like, oh, I need that. Fantastic, mixed. So that's the kind of thing that things like that. I like gadgets, but when it comes down to it, if you give me a sort of I don't want a ratty old brush. I want one that comes to a nice point. And then if I have a tile or a piece of plastic that I can paint on, that's fine too. I'll paint wherever, but if I have the opportunity to get some nice, cool toys,
yeah,
I will go for those. Definitely.
We did link your Kickstarter up on our chat and everything, so everybody should see it. So hopefully you'll get some things from that and everything. Guys, y'all got any more questions before we get into the media section?
No, not really.
Just quickly, I was going to say, people can also find out some more information at davetaylorminiatures.com. So you get to have a look. And
Mizzy linked.
Mizzy has been up on posting links to all your socials.
Awesome. Yeah. Fantastic. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, the best mod ever.
And mods are pretty good at that.
The cool
yeah,
in there is, if you haven't heard of any of the artists that I've spoken about, their social links will be on that first post on my page, so you can go and check out their stuff.
Ha ha ha! Captain Mizzy says, "Can you come to Warfare Weekend later this year?"
Me? Is it in? When is it? It's November.
It's November.
November.
Where is it again?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Ooh. No. I've so missed traveling.
Yeah.
You and everybody else. That's the reason why. So I'm one of the co-owners of Warfare Weekend, and people are like, "Can you please do Warfare Weekend this year?" And I'm like, "Well, it depends on COVID, blah 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 blah." And so we're projecting that we'll be ready to have an opening in November to do Warfare Weekend. And we made the announcement, and we're getting ready for it and stuff. And everybody's like, "Please, for everything that is holy, make this happen." And I go get your vaccine, keep your mask on, all that stuff, so we can do it. Because a lot of people, I get messages every day like, "When are you going to put up tickets? When are you going to put up classes?" And I'm like, "Guys, it's 7 months away. Give us a little bit of time."
Yep.
I got my second shot on Tuesday. Next Tuesday is in 2 days is my second shot. I'm super excited. So excited.
Yeah, I think everybody is. We're all. It's weird how we had all those conventions and everything, and like Adepticon. I try to go to Adepticon every year that I can, and when you can't go, you're just like, I notice I don't have enough T-shirts anymore because I always buy T-shirts,
Yep.
everywhere, every convention I go to. So I'm like, all my T-shirts are, getting ready. I'm like, I need convention T-shirts. Haven't got to really play any games. Haven't got to go meet everybody and, hugs and all that. So it's like, oh.
Yeah. I made sure I bought one of the Adepticon 2020 T-shirts because they already had them printed. But I know they haven't done one for 2020 because 2021, sorry, because it didn't happen. But
Correct.
I think I'm going to talk to Tim Toolin and get him to design up a logo for the 2021 that didn't happen, and just so I can have a T-shirt for it.
Yeah, I have my 2020
You got your hoodie, nice.
Decepticon
Cool.
hoodie.
Yeah, everybody's jonesing. I mean, everybody's just chomping at the bit. I mean, I had someone come up to me and, I had a vendor. He was like, how many people are you projecting to come this year? And I'm go, I don't know. You can't predict this. There is no
Possible.
precedence of a convention after a pandemic.
Yep.
I mean, because they're saying so many, like 200 million people have possibly gotten either their first or second shot of vaccine, and we've got like 380 million Americans. And I'm like, we may have people that just show up just so they could walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my clients is doing a convention. It's been pushed back a while ago from July to November in Vegas. They're gonna crush it. I can see it coming. That's gonna be a heck of a weekend because everyone wants to go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bad. I mean, because we've been looking at, like, I've been asking, the people, like, my numbers. I'm like, how many people can we have in convention? What's our spacing and all this other stuff? And they're like, well, you can technically have 4,000 people in this area because we've had it before, but we're not going to get 4,000 people. But I mean, that's the thing. I have to prepare for that.
Yep.
I have to prepare for more than what I'm used to because of the games, and people just want to come and do stuff.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're like, I just want to play some games.
Yep.
Drink,
Indeed.
socialize, and have a good time, and sit around and do everything.
Yep.
Type of stuff.
Yep, for sure. Saturday night.
So let's go ahead and get in our media section. Dave, this is our media section where we talk about movies, books, music, whatever. But we have a rating scale. We actually have 2 rating scales.
Okay.
Our first rating scale is from Casablanca to Cats. Cats being the worst movie ever made. Casablanca being the best movie ever made.
Okay.
And then we have a rating. Do you all remember the old 80s movie Ice Pirates?
Yes.
And the Space Herpes. So we have a rating of Space Herpes. The fewer the Space Herpes, the better the movie, or whatever it is.
Okay.
5 being the worst thing ever, a.k.a. Cats, would be 5 Space Herpes.
Yeah.
Casablanca would be 0 Space Herpes.
Okay.
So I usually watch a ton of stuff. Kathy, how many do you have? Do you
I
know
have
of?
one.
Just
I have only
one? Okay, so it's back to me being the first one, like usual, because I watch too much stuff. So I took it on myself and decided to torture myself, and I watched the New Mutants movie that came out.
My condolences. I've heard tales.
Fuck, that movie sucked. Holy crap. And now, see, I'm a New Mutants fan, too. Because I like magic, I like all the characters, I have the comics, when it came out, I was like, this is my jam. Magic is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe, everything. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, who the fuck was high, drunk, stoned, an idiot that wrote this script? It just does not go with it at all.
You do remember how far afield all the X-Men movies have been from the actual X-Men, right?
Yeah, but this one was way off. I mean, they didn't even have, hardly anybody got to use superpowers. The plot really didn't go anywhere. It was just like, let's just cash in on names of these characters, is all it was. We're going to cash in on the names of the characters. And I was like, this is stupid as shit.
Look, Disney only put this out because they're like, hey, remember how terrible Fox was? We're going to be making these soon.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't even consider it in the Marvel Universe. It was so bad. I mean, this is... You could have changed the name of the characters, and you wouldn't even known it was a Marvel movie type thing. It was that bad.
I got to say, I actually enjoyed it. I'm not going to dispute anything else that you said.
fair. That's...
Everything else is absolutely correct. If I didn't know that it had anything to do with the X-Men or whatever, there was nothing really in it that tied it to that. And yeah, you're completely right. I was going to say I was going to make a joke. There was a fantastic movie for somebody who's like fresh out of film school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still enjoyed it though. So
I'm giving this like 4 space herpes.
4 space herpes.
Yeah, because this one, I mean, it didn't push me over to Cats, but damn, it was bad.
Excellent. I'll go with 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but don't pay attention to me if you are a discerning film goer. I'm not particularly discerning. So there's a point where I just like switch off and just go with it.
I mean, the fact that you can do that though points that there's something in the movie. I mean, there's a lot of movies where you can't do that. #cats. You just can't switch off. You're just like, oh.
Yeah,
That's true. There have been a few movies like that.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was the Batman with Mr. Freeze?
Batman and Robin?
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I couldn't watch that in its entirety.
God, I hope Banyan's not on here right now. If he's on here right now, I'm going to hear all those quotes and I'm going to have to stab him to death.
Was that the George Clooney one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
It's that because I like those actors and everything, but oh my god, I
I
don't know
love
what it was
portions
about that
of the movie.
I just, yeah, maybe portions, maybe.
Like if you
maybe
watch
portions.
Adam West Batman and watch this, you're like, the beginning part of this, you're like, hell's yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you watch Michael Keaton and watch this, you're like, what just happened here?
Maybe that's my problem. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, Banyan's on. That's all right.
Nice.
All night.
So, Dave, give us
Yep.
your first media thing that you have. Did you watch anything? Read anything? Listen to anything?
I started listening to. I came late to it, but I started listening to the Old Gods of Appalachia podcast. I don't know if you've heard that.
No, what is it?
Lovecraftian?
It is Lovecraftian. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard of it.
Yeah. It's so it's a guy, Steve Shell, who has written these stories, which are all set. The bulk of the first season. I'm still going through the first season. There are 2 seasons. Are set in Kentucky, in a mining town in Kentucky, and the story is based loosely on it. Like there was a mine disaster in this town, but he's woven a whole lot of things around that mine disaster and a lot of supernatural horror kind of thing. So it's an alternate history horror podcast. And it's really good. It's each of the episodes are really short. They're like 15, 20 minutes. And he's got that fantastic sort of Kentucky Appalachia twang. And yeah, it's just really, it's very cool. It's set in like 1907, 1917, somewhere around there. But yeah, I would go with, I'd probably go with 1 space herpes for that.
Cool.
I think the only thing that it had at the moment, like seeing this first, like listening to this first season, it's like there are a few times he slips up and the words chosen aren't sort of spot on. Sometimes there's a flow when you're into a podcast. There's a flow, and then you can get a little bit jarred sometimes when he chooses a word. It's like, oh, that's not the word I would have chosen. It's not the word that would have flowed. But apart from that, yeah, Old Gods of Appalachia.
Oh, that sounds interesting. And thank you, John, for posting that link in the chat so that I could find that without effort.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be right up your alley, Kathy, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely good.
Kathy, what you got for us?
So, as many of you know, I've been watching all of the James Bond movies in order. And today was Skyfall, number 24 out of 25. And Oh my gosh, I enjoyed it. I have been loving all the Daniel Craig. And I said, but when I started this, Daniel Craig was one of my favorite. There was Sean Connery, and then it was Daniel Craig, and I hadn't seen Timothy Dalton yet. And then I was like, maybe it's a tie. But now that I'm watching Daniel Craig again, I'm like, no, it's Daniel Craig. It's Sean Connery and Daniel Craig, and then Timothy Dalton. And I know that there are parts of these Daniel Craig ones where it just feels like it's an action movie. There's less of the James Bondness to it.
Yeah.
But there's more other elements of James Bond. There's this sort of cool, calculated, ice coldness to it, where there's a little bit less of the silly cheesiness, which I miss, and I've always loved that about James Bond. But I can get behind the cold calculating, there's reasons why he's that way, and Skyfall illustrated them well, and I actually remembered this one a lot better than I remembered seeing the last one in the theater, because last week I saw
Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace, and there were a few parts that I remembered from seeing in the theater, but not like this. This one was like, oh, I love this fight scene, with the assassin up in the tower in Shanghai, with all the lights everywhere. And I enjoyed this one. And next week will be the last of the James Bonds until the studio decides to release the next one.
Yeah. Well, you got one more to watch after that, don't you?
Oh, Casino Royale, the original Casino Royale. Yeah.
So what do you give Skyfall? Because I did enjoy it myself also. I didn't catch it in the theater.
I'm going to go one space herpy just because. But I really liked it. I have no real reason for basing it that way. I just feel like zero space herpes. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed the crap out of it. I thought it was very good. Better than Quantum of Solace. I wasn't a huge fan of Quantum of Solace. It was fine, but this was much better.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace, fine. This one better.
Skyfall seemed to have so much in it. There's so many things going on. At the same time, it wasn't like when I think back and about Skyfall, all the different things that happened, it was like, was that just one movie? It feels like it could have been two movies.
Could have, yeah.
But at the same time, I can remember all the parts. It wasn't too overwhelming. There was just so much of it. Everything was so interconnected. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Skyfall. I thought it was great. I'm interested to see what you have to say about Spectre.
Me too.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I ever saw that. I don't think I've seen Spectre. I thought I did, but now that I'm looking back, I think maybe I never did see it. So that may be like a whole new thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're so positive about them in general, so I'm interested to see.
John's theory is that the Daniel Craig ones and all the new ones are like the original Star Trek movies, where every other movie is good.
Yep.
To clarify, like most people's opinions of the regular Star Trek movies, I actually love all the original Star Trek movies except for 5. 5 can go fuck itself.
That Nemesis. No, that wasn't original Star Trek. Never mind.
No, that was The Final Frontier. What does God need with a starship? And yeah, I don't want to talk about that movie anymore.
Let's move on.
John, what do you got for us this week?
I mean, do you want to save mine for last? Because it involves spoilers. Because, I mean,
yeah,
obviously Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, we'll save that for last. Let me go with... I'm going to hold off on one until next week, but I did finish Warrior, season 1 and 2, because it's on HBO Max, and I finished that up yesterday, watching all the episodes. Everybody knows that I believe it was on Showtime or Cinemax before. I think it was Cinemax before. HBO Max picked it up and they have it, and watched it. And binged the entire seasons. There's only 2. Get renewed for a third one. I really freaking dig this show. This show is a ton of fun. The martial art is good. The acting's good. The characters are great. Um, on top of that, all of the um, they don't concentrate just on certain actors and certain characters. They concentrate on everybody. Everybody gets their part. Everybody gets to fill their role in the story and everything. It it does have some episodes that kind of, I don't want to say are filler episodes, but it's like, oh, this character needs to finish their story arc. So they drag the main characters into their story arc to complete it.
Mhm.
But I really freaking dig this show. I can't wait to see season 3. I've actually kind of watched some of the behind the scenes because the martial arts in this is really, really good. You can tell that they're influenced definitely by all the Bruce Lee movies, the way it's filmed, the way the action is done. Everything is just completely. You can tell that they really put thought into how everything happens and the way it's filmed. Not just, hey, here's two guys fighting in this big open field, da 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 da, type thing. They really put a good effort into it, and it's
No,
real
it's
pleasing.
very much Hong Kong style
Oh yeah,
large choreography.
yeah. You're not just seeing like upper chest fighting, and punching. You're seeing full bodies, moving and everything, which is really
Yeah.
good in my opinion. I really like it a lot. I'm giving it 0 space herpes.
Oh.
It is really, really good. I kind of was a little sad at the end because I was like, dang it. Now I have to wait for, this to get, a year for another one
What?
to get through. So, Dave, do you have anything else?
No, I gotta say no, not really. I haven't really watched a lot of TV the last week. Except catching up on some Forged in Fire.
Oh,
I binged that when I had COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
when I was conscious, I binged that when I had COVID.
Nice. That's good. Yeah,
It's a good show.
it is a good show. It's fun, and it's something I guess you could do it when you're like sick and bedridden because it doesn't involve a lot of brain power, and you always know what each of the judges is going to say. It's pretty much identical every time, and but no, it's I always like it just to see what they can create. I also like to watch the way that they edit the show together.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last, you see somebody sort of hammering away on a really thick, lumpy piece of metal, and then they go, "Time's up," and then they go, "Whoo!" It's amazing, amazing piece.
Yeah.
Wait, no way!
He just put that in the fire just a second ago.
Exactly. It's like,
The magic of editing.
but yeah.
Yes,
It has been. It was fun to watch the episodes that they obviously filmed during COVID, where prior to that the host would say, "Okay, yeah, now you can come up and shake the judges' hands and that sort of thing," but now it's just like, "You're out. Get off the floor."
Bye.
I tell you, that's the hardest part when people come in for interviews. You don't shake their hand anymore, and I'm like, "Hey, it's happened."
Yeah.
Consider this a virtual handshake.
Yeah.
But yeah, just catching up on that. So now I'm ready for Wednesday for maybe a new episode. We'll see.
Awesome.
Before we get to the Winter Soldier, I did start watching Superman and Lois, which is a CW show, and that is actually on HBO Max also, because they own all the DC stuff. And I will tell you, I'm really digging this. It's only 5 episodes, and they're like about an hour long. I did feel like the season just ended too abruptly. I'm not sure why it did, but it is set in the Arrowverse. The story is Superman and Lois marry, and they have 2 teenage twin kids, and they move back to Smallville.
Okay.
And everything goes from there. It's actually really good. It's not your typical CW, so you don't feel all this, latent teenage hormones going off all the time and all this stuff. It's actually
It's not the reason I stopped watching Arrow because I'm like, I can't anymore.
Correct. It plays all the characters right, and everybody's got their own good screen time, and all the other stuff. No spoiler type thing on this, but I'm digging it. I watched all 5 episodes. It got renewed for another season, so hopefully it'll be more than 5 next time.
Yeah, it was renewed like after episode 1. It was like,
oh yeah, it had a
immediately.
really big following right off the bat.
Yeah, that's cool.
The characters are really well done. I really liked them a lot. You could tell that there's that internal struggle of Superman trying to be a father, and how he's having to deal with that, which is really good. And our last one, this is a spoiler. We are going to spoil Falcon and Winter Soldier, the last episode. Dave, do you care?
I haven't watched them yet, but I've learned over the last 10 years of potential spoilers for like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or whatever it might happen to be that,
You don't care if you're spoiled then?
if the show's good, the show's going to be good, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We just
If it
always
doesn't
give a
hit on that
spoiler
thing
review.
that you get spoiled, then it's not a good show.
Okay.
Fair.
We're just going to make sure, because we want to make sure. Spoiler, if you don't want to hear the spoilers of the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, leave. 5, 4,
Bye.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Go for it, John.
Holy shit, that was great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, it pretty much delivered on everything it promised. You get Sam and his new... Sam is Captain America, basically.
Badass
And
Captain America, don't forget
Badass
that.
Captain America. I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary. He's still fighting like he did, and then like that speech he gave,
Yeah, the speech at the
man,
end.
yeah, it was great.
There was
Just
a lot of good
fucking nailed
feels
it.
in this one.
Yes.
A lot of good emotion in this one, not only from him portraying Captain America and being Captain America, but at the end when he takes them in to see the statue.
He takes Isaiah Bradley to see his stat. Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah, that was fucking awesome too. There's no way of saying it otherwise. It was great.
Yeah, everything about this was really good.
Mhm.
And even, U.S. agent at the end.
You mean
You're
Captain
just-
Douche America?
Yeah, Captain Douche America.
John Walker. I mean, so I can tell you, reading the comics, they did him. They actually did him better here than they did in the comics. In the comics, it was a bit darker and everything, but this is a lot better. And White Russell just fucking acts the pants off of that character. I mean, he's great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you hate
he's
him
one of
so
those
much
bad
when you
guys.
hate him. You like him when it's time to like him. He projects it perfectly. And you can see the internal struggle when he's struggling over vengeance or doing the right thing.
Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. The first like half of the movie is just long, continuous fighting, action
Yeah.
scene beyond belief that you're just like, fuck, we're about halfway through and it's still action.
Yep. And then the ending, you're like, oh, they're gonna get away. Oh no, they're not gonna get away.
Yeah. There was so much to this. This one definitely gets a 0 space RP for me.
Oh god, the whole
There,
series.
yeah, this is good and solid. The quote teaser at the end where they now name it Captain America and Winter Soldier, which
So
is
good.
great because
Yeah.
they've actually got another movie coming out, which is
Yep.
going to be Captain America 4 with him playing Captain America, which is going to be good. I can't wait to see. Sam was a very good Captain America.
I mean, Marvel's like killing it. Disney's killing it and getting all the same actors to come in and do TV shows for their movie roles.
Yes.
They're going to show everyone how it's done as far as this is how you build a property. You get
Yes.
them into the small screen, you keep them on the big screen, you do everything you can. Like they announced this week, like, oh, we're sorry, we have to charge you an extra $1 for Disney Plus. Just this price is going up. Sorry. And I was like, yep, that's fine. Let's go.
Yeah. Give me all the Marvel. Give me
You've
all
earned
the
it.
MCU.
You've earned this $1. Do another $1 on top of that because you're in that one too.
Yeah. They did it.
Don't give it to start with, John. I don't. My subscription have to come $2.
I'd be
One-
willing to, but I'm glad they're not asking for it. Yeah, it was so good. Now I saw the last episode of WandaVision. I didn't see the whole series because, as we know, my hatred of sitcoms is well stated, and
Yeah.
could not make it to the first couple episodes. This finale blows the pants off of that finale.
Oh
Like-
yeah.
And I know some people are not going to agree, and that's fine. That's why it's art. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I thought this just blew the pants off of it. It is. Someone on Twitter called it the best TV show ever, and I'm not going to say it is, but man, it's really, really good.
Oh yeah, it was good, solid. You felt for the good guys, you felt for the bad guys. You hated John Walker, but you liked him because he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's one of the bad
through
guys
the
you
series,
love.
the range of emotions for him, you're like, you've got, he shows up at the end of the first episode, you're like, I don't like that guy. You see him at the beginning of the second episode, you're like, I like this guy. Then towards the end of the episode, you're like, no, I don't like him again.
Yeah, this guy's
Then
a
you're like,
douche.
Zemo shows up, you're like, I feel like I trust Zemo more than I trust John Walker as Captain America.
Oh yeah,
Something's wrong here.
Zemo
And
was
the role
amazing.
so good.
Yeah.
I hope he gets more to do because he just fucking knocks out of the park too. It's a good series. If you guys are interested in Marvel, you haven't watched it, watch it. Great, absolute A+.
Cool. I will do then.
It was solid. You binge it now since all the episodes are out and watch it all in one sitting, and go for it. It's amazing. It's one of the best ones.
We gotta wait for Loki, which is a couple months away. So I think Bainey and I our Friday night of watching will have to be Discovery season 3, since I'm not caught up on that either.
Yeah. Well, guys, that is our show for today. We appreciate Dave you coming on and talking about your projects and just kind of bullshitting with us. We appreciate it a lot.
No, thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Don't forget, guys.
Welcome anytime.
Of course. You want to come in and paint with us? Come on in and paint with us.
Sure.
We have no problem. Just say, hey, Gonzo, I want to come on and paint. I'm like, shit, okay, come on in.
Cool.
That's how it be.
Don't forget, this Friday the Kickstarter will go off, and you can jump in on that. The link was posted. If you need it again, you can always go to the More Than Dice Facebook page. Everything's on there. Look for our one that has his press release on it, and it'll be all the information.
It's also easy to find Dave Taylor at Dave Taylor Miniatures.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Big Boss Waztec, luckily this is all recorded. It'll be on YouTube, but it'll also still be available on Twitch for a while, so you can check out the whole thing at your leisure. It's also a podcast if you want to just listen to it. We got you
We're on
covered.
1 million streaming platforms.
Everywhere. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and raid the Pyro Club at the end of this. So stick around, give them a follow. They'll be doing Harlan's Heroes. But for More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
And I'm Dave.
And Dave. And here we go. Hit that button. Hit that like. Hit that raid. Let's go. Make sure you spam them with a bunch of emotes. Make sure that they're happy.
Oh, we just post our schedule. Check our schedule so you can see what else we got coming up next week.
Yeah.
And there will be more. Not just from the schedule.
We're dancing. Everybody can hear us.
Oh, they're on break.
Oh,